Quickly before we get into today's video, I wanted to give a huge thank you to the video and channel sponsor, which is Floodgate Games. Today I'm going to be talking about their game called Kites, which is a cooperative real-time game for 2 to 6 players, where players will be frantically playing down kite cards that will allow you to flip over sand timers. And these sand timers actually represent each of your kites, and if any of the sand timers ever run out, that means that one of your kites has fallen to the ground and you immediately lose the game. Your goal is to get through the entire deck of cards before any of the sand timers run out. Overall, I feel like this is a great, fun, easy to teach family game that, with the holiday season coming up, would make a fantastic gift. So that is Kites. Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to the Sewing Solo episode for September. So we're going to be chatting about all the games that I played solo in September, which I have actually 8 different games in front of me right now. 8 different solo games that I enjoyed in the month of September, if you guys want to know what those are. I do think I'm going to start putting the pictures of the games that I'm talking about in the Sewing Solo thumbnail, so you guys might already know what 8 games I'm going to be talking about. We will see, but I do think that it's really nice to see when a content creator is talking about like reviews of games that they enjoyed. Not so much like top 10s and stuff. I usually like to keep those games secret, but when it comes to Sewing Solo, I think it's nice for you guys to be able to see in the thumbnail what games I'm going to be chatting about. So maybe you guys will see them in the thumbnail already, but if you guys want to see me chat about these 8 different games, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Also comment down below any games that you played solo in September, games that you enjoyed, and also any that you recommend based off of the ones that I talked about today. And also, again, a huge thank you to Floodgate Games for being the channel sponsor and sponsoring today's video. Without further ado, let's get into this video, shall we? All right, so starting off with the solo monthly focus for both August and September. This is a game that I played probably a solid like 15 to 20 times in the month of August and September, and that is my favorite game of all time, Hadrian's Wall. That was the solo monthly focus for August and September. I wanted 2 months for this because I really wanted to focus on the solo campaign for Hadrian's Wall. If you guys do not know, they have like a printable sheet that you can go through. There are, I think, 16 different forts or scenarios that you go through for the Hadrian's Wall solo campaign, and each of them have a unique goal that you're trying to achieve. And then also sometimes they have some unique rules that you have to go by, and then there's also an additional challenge that if you also get that with the goal as well, then you get some sort of perk for the next fort that you're going to be working on. So yes, Hadrian's Wall is, like I said, my favorite game of all time. I don't know if it still is, but the last time that I did a top games of all time, for me, Hadrian's Wall was my #1. I love this game so much. It just makes me so happy and just fills me with joy when I play it, because it's just so satisfying trying to figure out how to maximize each round and try to use and gain as much as possible. This is a flip and write, but also like a use workers and write, where you are using workers to go up tracks, and then certain points on those tracks you're going to be gaining more workers. And there's going to be certain workers that you're going to be needing to go up on certain tracks and kind of like gain access to different mini games and stuff like that. If you have not tried Hadrian's Wall yet, I definitely recommend. And yeah, the solo campaign, I did it on easy. You can do the solo campaign on 3 different difficulties. You can play Hadrian's Wall on 3 different difficulties in general, but I stuck to play it on the easy. And the one thing that I did notice, there were 2 different forts or scenarios where the goal of the scenario was something and then also getting 80+ victory points. And I cannot for like my life get above 80 points or even 80. I think the closest that I gotten was, I think, a score of 78, but I cannot get over 80 points. Please let me know, what do you do in Hadrian's Wall in order to get over 80 points? Because I need to know. I must know. I cannot do it. So yes, I did end up skipping. I did like a few of those forts, the 2 different ones that required that goal of 80 points. I did those like 3 or 4 times each, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna waste my time trying to get these 80 points. So I decided at that point to just move on to the next fort. So yeah, I will continue trying, but for now, I completed the solo campaign, but I did have to skip a few of those forts. But yes, that is the first game that I played in the month of September and August. That is Hadrian's Wall. Moving on to the next game. This is one that I have yet to play multiplayer, but I feel like this one could probably play very similarly multiplayer as does solo, because it is a abstract game where you are drafting cards. So there could be a little bit of, you know, fighting over the different cards in the center and also the different dog tokens. But this right here is Forever Home. I was so excited about this one. I love the theme of this one where you are trying to get foster dogs into homes, and it melts my heart. I love it so much. This is designed by Lottie and Jack Hazel. They are the owners of Birdwood Games, the publishing company. They also made Dog Park as well as the Dog Park expansion, and then Forever Home was their first straight to retail release. So this is available if you want to pick it up. It is a great small box abstract game with an amazing theme if you like that sort of thing. It kind of gives me the vibes of like Cascadia, stuff like that, where basically you are going to be either drafting these dog tokens or you're going to be drafting cards, and the cards are going to have a certain layout of dogs on a grid, and those dog tokens you're going to be placing onto this grid in order to complete these cards. The cards will then allow you to take some of the dogs off of the grid and then place them into some different scoring regions. So there are 4 different places that you can send the dogs off to. There is, I think, city, country, foster home, and suburbs. So you can kind of find them their forever home, and it just, again, warms my heart. I love the theme. And then you're going to be gaining victory points based off of the dogs that you have in those 4 different scoring areas, as well as you have these like different scoring perimeters on this other board where you are like placing certain colored dogs, and you're going to be gaining victory points for that as well. And then you also have the victory points for the cards that you achieve. And I just really enjoyed this solo. It was really cool where you are actually going to be building up your scoring on the other board, like I mentioned, with the different colored dogs as you play the game. So you can kind of get a feel of what color dogs you're going to be having the most of, different things like that, and then kind of building up those scoring parameters for yourself in order to gain as many victory points as possible, which I really enjoyed. So yes, that is Forever Home. I really enjoyed this one. It is, again, going to be one that is easy to just take out, get to the table, and play. I think it plays within like 20 minutes. It says 20 to 45 minutes. For a solo game, I definitely played it within 20 minutes, and it'll definitely be one of those ones that I reach for, similar to Cascadia, where I just want to have like a nice, cozy, easy game to play in the evening with a cup of tea. This really does that. So that is Forever Home. I do quickly want to add that Forever Home was sent to me for review by Birdwood Games, so huge thank you to them. All right, so moving on to a bigger game. This one was sent to me as well, and this has been one that I've been super excited about ever since hearing about it. It has an amazing story behind it as well, but this is Sweet Mess Pastry Competition. This was sent to me by Pika Games as well as Fantasia Games, so huge thank you to them. And Sweet Mess Pastry Competition, like I said, has a really cool story behind it, where basically this was a Kickstarter, Sweet Mess. It was just Sweet Mess. And unfortunately, the initial publisher for it wasn't able to complete the campaign and have the games shipped to everyone. So what actually happened is Pika Games / Fantasia Games, they are like sister companies, they actually took over the campaign, put a bunch of money into it, which I think is amazing for them. A few of them were the designers of this game, which is Zax, Yoma, and Johnny Pack. They actually took over the game. They did a little bit of changes to the game. They switched up the name, obviously, to Sweet Mess Pastry Competition, as well as they did update some of the art, or all of the art. I don't know if they changed a lot of the mechanics and stuff, but they did take over the campaign. They put their own money into it and finished up the campaign and actually had it sent to people that back the campaign. So I think it's amazing that they jumped in, helped out the other publisher, and got this game made, because this game is so wonderful, and I'm so happy that someone has come out with a like pastry competition dessert game, which just makes me so incredibly happy because I have a huge sweet tooth, if you guys did not know. And yes, it is just a theme that I love, and I felt like needed to have a game about it. So in Sweet Mess Pastry Competition, you are creating dishes with these different ingredient tokens, and basically on your turn you are going to be doing one of 3 different actions. Those actions actually have 2 different actions that you can perform, but you're going to be choosing which one you want to perform, and then you can pay a coin in order to do both of them. And most of the time those actions include grabbing from this middle area that has a bunch of different ingredients in bowls. You're going to be taking ingredients from those bowls, and then because it's called Sweet Mess, there's going to be a mess being made, and from that ingredient bowl there's going to be other ingredients that are going to be placed around it and making a mess. And you're going to be placing these ingredients into your storage, which I think is one of my favorite parts of this game, where your storage actually requires you to place different ingredients in very specific spots. So there are some spots for 4 or 5 different ingredients. There's going to be a spot for 4 of the same ingredients, and then there's going to be a spot for 2 sets of like pairs of ingredients. So that is all that you can store, and you have to really figure out, like, can I grab all of these ingredients, and do I have space in my storage for all of these in very specific spots? And will I have enough space in order to gain all of these different ingredients in order to, you know, cook this specific item that I want to cook? There's going to be a bunch of different recipes at the top that you're going to be using these ingredient chips in order to bake. And then you're going to try to be, there's a little bit of like set collection with the different types of desserts, and you're going to be gaining awards if you have, you know, 3 of the same type of desserts or 2 of the same type of desserts. And there are a bunch of different things going on in the game, but I really enjoy it. There's also like different tools that you can use in order to get you additional things. And it is, I will say, it is a pretty straightforward game. It's not really doing a ton of super interesting things. Like it's the type where you are gaining ingredients and then you're going to be creating these orders or fulfilling these orders. It's definitely like a fulfill order type of game, which I have definitely played a few in the past. But the way that you are storing those chips and the different things that you're doing on your turn, it does make it unique in its own way. And again, the theme I love so much, paired with the different mechanics. I think it just works really well. And it's one that I'm super excited to get back to the table again, both solo and multiplayer. I did chat about this in the multiplayer games that I played in the month of August as well. But I'm really happy that I got a chance to play it solo in the month of September. And I'm happy that I'm able to share it with you guys right now. So that is Sweet Mess Pastry Competition. Definitely recommend checking it out if it is like a theme and mechanisms and stuff that you think you would enjoy. Also, the components in this game and just the production of this game is absolutely fantastic. It has the chips that kind of remind me of the chips from Wonderland's War, those really nice, hefty, very satisfying chips, and they have like this super cool like plastic game trays, player boards for each of the players, and it's very cool. Also the solo variant, I didn't really touch on that, but the solo variant, you are going against a bot and you're simply just flipping over a card, and then they're going to be taking some of the ingredients, stuff like that. They're also going to be possibly taking some of the orders from above, and I will say, I believe I remember it being a pretty challenging solo AI, which I really appreciate when it's challenging and not too easy. So yes, that is Sweet Mess Pastry Competition. Definitely recommend checking it out. All right, moving into more of a story-driven game. This is actually a solo-only game, and this was on my list of most anticipated games at Gen Con. I did actually receive this as a review copy from North Star Game Studios, and that is Eila and Something Shiny. Guys, this game makes me so incredibly happy. I'm going to be honest, I've only played one full like scenario or one full chapter of this, but I cannot tell you guys how much I enjoyed this game. It is a fairly simple game where basically it is kind of like a choose your own adventure game, more tippy tappies. Well, it's down here, by the way. It is like a choose your own adventure game where you're going to be flipping a card. You're going to have cards that are in the present, and then once you flip over a card, you either are going to be putting it into the past and never seeing it again, or you're going to be putting it into the future where you actually reshuffle it and it comes back to the present for you to kind of choose what you want to do with it, kind of thing. And you're going to be going through this story of Eila. And I will say that the end of the first chapter that I played broke my heart. And I have heard that the story of this game gets pretty intense and a little bit dark, which some people said that they purchased this to play with their children and it got a little bit more dark than they thought it was going to. So just a little bit of a warning there if you're wanting to play this with your kids. It does say 12 and up, so that makes sense. The story does get a little bit dark, like I've been told, but I am so excited to continue playing this. I played this on stream and I will be playing it on stream again, so keep an eye on that. I have been streaming more on YouTube, so just to let you guys know, you will see me a lot more on here, live playing different solo games. But Eila and Something Shiny is definitely one that I want to make my way all the way through. I want to see this story with Eila, and just the gameplay, like I said, is pretty simple where you're just flipping over a card and making a decision, and you have like different resources that you're going to be using in order to do different things on those cards and gain more resources and go through this story and figure out different things. And I just love the gameplay of it so much. It is simple, but it is just so much fun. And the story is fantastic so far, and I cannot wait to continue playing this. A huge thank you again to North Star Game Studios for sending this over or letting me bring this home from Gen Con. I've been genuinely really enjoying the story, and I'm excited to play more. So that is Eila and Something Shiny. So moving into a game that I'm a little bit sad to chat about the solo variant of this one, because it definitely was not great for me, but this is the White Castle, which I have not played this multiplayer yet. I do want to play this multiplayer and will 100% be playing this multiplayer very soon, hopefully this weekend. But the White Castle I played solo on stream, and unfortunately it didn't end up ending very good for me. I lost to the solo AI epically. And the thing is that I've actually watched some other solo content creators here talk about this as well, and other ones have had issues with the solo variant as well. It seems like the AI definitely gets a lot of points in different ways that I feel like they shouldn't be getting points. Basically, the White Castle, I really enjoyed, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the gameplay of this so much, and that is why I am very, very much looking forward to playing this multiplayer. But I feel like the solo variant just didn't work out for me, where the AI seemed to be getting a lot of points during the game. They will be getting points during the game for a bunch of different things at the end of each of the 3 rounds. And throughout the game, as the player, you don't really get a lot of points during the game. So it's weird to me that the AI both gets a ton of points during the game and then also gets just as much points as you at the end of the game for all of the same things. So it's just weird to me that the AI gets points during the game and after the game, where as the player, you get maybe a few points throughout the game, and then you also get a lot of your points at the end of the game. So I think what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to play the White Castle again, and I think I will say right now, I could just be really bad at this game, and I probably just need to play it more, and I need to just get better at it and figure out better ways to gain victory points during the game. That could very well be it, but I just found, honestly, I think I ended up with 30 something victory points, and then the AI ended up with 70 to 80 something. So it was a blowout. The AI killed me, and it did not feel good. I will say it did not feel good. So I definitely do need to play this more. I will say that. But if I continue playing this more and the AI doesn't seem to get any easier, then I might end up house ruling it, maybe taking away a few of the things that the AI gets victory points during the game. But yeah, it didn't make me feel good. I was so excited to play the White Castle solo specifically because I really do enjoy how this is such a small box game with a big beefy like crunchy game on the inside. I really love that. I also do have the Red Cathedral, so I'm super excited to dive into that one as well. But yeah, it was a little bit of a letdown, I will say, but I'm going to play it more solo. I'm going to finally play this multiplayer because I've heard so many people say how great it is multiplayer. So yes, that is the White Castle. A little bit of a letdown when it came to the solo, but I am super pumped to play this multiplayer. And I'll also add that the White Castle was sent to me for review by Devere, so a huge thank you to them. I am trying to, in this video, you guys might notice, and in all future videos, to make sure I let you guys know what games are sent to me for review and which ones are not. So yeah, you guys will probably notice me throwing in things here and there because I really want to make sure that I'm being upfront and honest about all the games that I'm being sent and which ones I'm not, so just to let you guys know. So moving on to another game that was sent over to me for review. This is one that I was actually genuinely really excited about. I've worked with Awaken Realms before for their Castles of Burgundy Special Edition, and once I was finished working with them for that, I noticed that they were coming out with this game somewhat soon, and it was a primarily solo game. You can play it with 2 players, cooperative if you'd like, but I just mentioned to them that I was really looking forward to this one and I'd love to check it out. So they did send me a prototype of this. So a huge thank you to Awaken Realms. I'm sure you guys know what one I'm talking about if you are on top of all of the releases from Awaken Realms, but that is Dragon Eclipse. So I did end up doing a live stream playing through the second scenario of Dragon Eclipse, which with the prototypes that they sent to content creators, they sent like a little bit of a snippet of the full campaign of what Dragon Eclipse is going to be, just so that we could test it out, to kind of play a few scenarios and share it with our audiences. So this is a prototype, like I said, and I was able to play through 2 different scenarios. I believe the like final product of this is going to have like 30+ scenarios, but I was so excited for this one. And still, after playing those 2 scenarios, I am so excited to hopefully dive more into Dragon Eclipse. This is a campaign story-driven game where it kind of reminds me, a lot of content creators have mentioned this, but it reminds me a little bit of Pokemon, where you have these different monsters and you're going out and kind of battling against these monsters, taming them potentially, and then kind of adding them to your roster of monsters that you can use and befriend and have in your little group, which makes me really happy. I love this whole like collecting different monsters and the different types of monsters that they have revealed in their campaign. I just love every single one of them. There's one called Bulb, which, oh my goodness, he is incredibly cute. There's also some amazing minis, which I don't have with me right now, but maybe I'll include a few clips of B-roll of the minis because they are absolutely fantastic. I saw all of the minis for the Castles of Burgundy, the castles and stuff, but these minis are like fantastic. And I know a lot of people have always said like Awaken Realms minis are amazing. They have so much small details, and you're not kidding. Those minis are amazing. And I see why people get obsessed with minis and stuff, because they are just mesmerizing and I could look at them forever. I don't even want to paint them because they're so good. I feel like I would mess them up. But anyways, Dragon Eclipse, I genuinely enjoyed. I will say when I did stream it, it took me quite a long time. I think the stream ended up being like 2.5 hours and I didn't even finish the one scenario, but I will say that's because with this type of game, the kind of story-driven game, you do have to read quite a bit, and with it being on stream, you do have to like read aloud and that sort of thing, and also chat with the chat. And I feel like the first scenario that I did, it was a lot quicker. I got through it a lot quicker because it was just simply me reading to myself and not chatting to chat and stuff like that. But there's basically two different types of phases that you go through in this game, where you have your scenarios. We had two different books, scenario 1 and scenario 2, and you're going to be reading through a little bit and then getting into some sort of battle. Obviously each scenario is going to be different how it pans out, but basically there is a battle phase where you will be going 1v1 against some sort of monster, potentially more than 1v1. It could be one against many monsters. I don't know what other scenarios are going to bring, but you can potentially battle this monster, and then there's some specific thing that you have to do in order to tame it. You're going to be, I really love the way that you play this out. It is a little bit of like a deck builder in a way, where you're going to be building a deck for each of the monsters. And I had a monster and I had a deck, and basically you put out, I think there's 4 different cards, 4 or 5 different cards, and each of them are going to have a different amount of energy that you're going to gain when using that power. And the powers are going to allow you to do different things. It'll allow you to move, it'll allow you to attack, different things like that, gain more energy. And wherever that card is in that row, it's going to have a certain amount of energy that you can grab when you use that card, and then you can use that energy, I think it's called like elemental energy, in order to do extra things and move more and attack more. And there's certain cards that require you to use more of that elemental energy and different things like that. So I really enjoy that like usage of the energy and the usage of the cards, and building that deck up and kind of customizing the deck to your monster. I really think that is very, very cool. And then once you are finished with the like battle phase, you can go into more exploration, where there are different like maps that you can go into. And it's pretty much just like a choose your own adventure type thing as well, where you're choosing different numbers on the map, and then you are going to be able to read some sort of paragraph and then make decisions based off of that. There's a little bit of like a push your luck element to it as well, where some situations in the exploration will have you flipping over cards and kind of pushing your luck until you get to a certain number. But there are these different like moon icons, where if you get a certain amount of moons, you will like lose time and stuff like that. So it's this really cool push your luck element there, and I really enjoyed that as well. You can get items, you can get different secrets and stuff, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So that is Dragon Eclipse. I went on a little bit too long about this one, but I genuinely really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, I'm excited to possibly dive in more to it. I believe, I don't know if this is still going right now when this video goes live, but if it is, I will let you guys know down in the description. But that is Dragon Eclipse. All right, so moving on to the last 2. These were actually 2 that I added last minute. One was one that I actually had a preview up on the channel, and that is dun, 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 Portals. So Portals is one that I recently put up a preview for, so if you guys want to go check that out, I will have it up here. But this is from Crowd Games, and they did sponsor a preview for that and sent me this prototype here. This is available now, I believe. They had copies available at Essen as well. This is an abstract strategy game where basically someone has gone missing. Dominic Day, which his name is very difficult to say. Dominic Day has gone missing. He actually discovered using these like elemental powers in order to make different portals, and he's been going through these portals to go to different worlds, and one day he went missing in another universe, and you as the players are trying to create these different elemental portals in order to try to find Dominic. And it is very, very fun. So I've played this a few times solo. I've also played it once multiplayer, and I really like the solo. It actually includes a few different modules that you can add into the multiplayer, but when you are playing solo, you actually play with both of those modules, and you are just trying to get the best score as possible, which I will say, I did not do very good in the whole like trying to get as many points as possible. I think I got the like lowest on the ranking because it has a little chart in the rule book. I think I got lowest both times, or multiple times that I've played. So it's definitely one that I want to get better at. But basically you are going to be drafting these different like elemental stones. In the multiplayer game, you're going to be drafting from these different areas, but in the solo game, you are actually just taking them from a board one by one and then placing them onto different key cards that you're going to be drafting as well. The key cards are going to have different spots on them, specific spots that you have to place these elemental stones. And then once a key card is full, you're actually going to be placing it onto one of these boards and trying to match up the colors because you will gain victory points based off of matching colors. In the multiplayer game, you're also going to be gaining victory points for adjacent colors as well. So if you have adjacent colors that are the same, you're going to gain victory points for that. In the solo game, you do not. In the solo game, you're just going to be matching the color of the stone with the color on the board that you place it on. And then you're also going to be gaining points for these secret sign cards. And it's just a very fun puzzle. Again, this one kind of reminds me a little bit of like Forever Home, Cascadia, one that you can come to the table, set it up real quick, and then play a game in about 20 minutes, not even solo, which is amazing. And it's just so easy to play. And I really, really enjoy the puzzle of it. So that is Portals. If you guys want to know more about this one, like I said, I will have the video linked up at the top. But yes, that is Portals. All right, so moving on to the last one. This is a very, very small little game that I think will be fantastic for travel. There are also a few more in this series. And I will admit, I did play this one more recently. I actually think I played this in October technically, so this one should be waiting until the end of this month, but I do know that it is up on crowdfunding right now, so I really wanted to mention it in this video. But that is Forage. So Forage is, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's very bright. But yes, Forage is a 9-card solitaire game by Hadrian Games, and this is the final installment in the Harvesting trilogy. So if you guys have ever heard of these are solo-only games. If you guys have never heard of this trilogy, there are 2 other games in this set. There is Orchard, and there's also Grove, which I have not played either of those, but this is the 3rd and final in that little trilogy. It is a solo-only game, 9-card solitaire game, and this one I actually really genuinely enjoyed. It is a small box game. It has 18 cards, but you are going to be shuffling them and then dealing out 9 cards, and then they actually tell you to put the other 9 to the side, because you can immediately after playing the first game play the second game. There are dice as well in this game. So basically in Forage, you're going to be taking these cards. You're going to have the 9. You're going to flip over one and have it in the center. And each of these cards are going to be split into, I think it's 6 different sections, but then one of them is split in half, like on a diagonal. And basically you're going to be picking up 2 cards from the pile, and you're going to be placing one of them or overlapping one of them on another card. Whenever you overlap 2 of the same type, there's a few different like small rules about it, but whenever you layer 2 of the same type over top, then you're going to be placing a die, and whenever in future rounds with future cards, you overlap other cards with the same type with dice on it, those dice are going to get more and more. And then eventually by the end of the game, you're going to have a bunch of overlapped cards with a bunch of different dice with different pip numbers on them. I believe if you ever overlap something that has a die on it with a different type, that die actually turns into a rat, which is going to get you negative points. So you are ultimately trying to overlap the same type as many times as possible, because that's going to actually multiply the die number or the dice pip that is on top of that. And then at the end of the game, you're going to be adding up all of the pips, and that is going to be the game. But additionally, on the back of all of the cards, there's going to be different objectives. They're called recipe cards, and you're going to, if you want to add the recipe cards to the game, you can simply play it without the recipe cards, but I personally enjoyed it with the recipe cards because it adds a little bit more to think about. But the recipe cards are just going to give you 2 additional like small things that you have to think about when it comes to the game. It's going to give you some objectives that you're going to gain bonus points for at the end of the game. So yeah, I really like this one. It is a fairly simple game, but it is small, it is compact, it is easy to get to the table, and I'm excited to, if I do keep this, I'm not sure if I am allowed to keep this prototype, but I actually might back the Kickstarter or the crowdfunding campaign for this, because I would really love to try the other two as well and just have some really easy to get to the table, easy to travel with solo games. Yeah, I think it'll be really fun. So that is that. It also says includes multiplayer rules, but each player does require to have one of these. So you would have to get together with other friends that did have Forage in order to play it multiplayer. So yes, that is the last game that I enjoyed somewhat in September. This one I actually enjoyed in like early October, but like I said, I really wanted to shout this out because I do know that it is up on crowdfunding right now. So that is Forage. All right, friends, so that is going to be everything for today's Sewing Solo. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Like I said in the intro, comment down below what games you played solo in the month of September. I'd love to chat about that down in the comments. I've already played a few fantastic games solo in the month of October, so I'm very, very excited to talk about those. I will also add, I don't think I've said this anywhere, but I did have a stream for it. Final Girl is the solo monthly focus for the month of October. I did put up a bunch of different spooky / cozy games on my Patreon for my Patreon members to vote on for the monthly solo focus, and Final Girl did win, so I'm very excited to hop into a bunch of games of Final Girl. I've already played it a few times, but yeah, hopefully you're enjoying that. If you're not already a part of the Discord, we do have a full channel all about the solo focus. So if you're not already, be sure to join the Discord. We'd love to have you there as well. And then also a quick little shout out to my Patreon. I do have the Board Game Garden Patreon. It is always linked down below, and that just really helps me out, supports me. If you are able to and want to, then go check it out. Never pressure to do so if you can't. I just appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with me, but hopefully you have a good rest of your day. I love you guys so, so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.